Welcome to Choya Patch Railroad. Glued Ballast and Landscape, How to Video. By John Carmichael, Tucson, Arizona, 2026.
Howdy, folks. This might be one of the most useful and practical how-to garden railroad videos you'll ever watch. Glued stone material has great potential for new and existing garden railroads because it is rarely used. It drastically improves realism and durability while decreasing maintenance time and costs. When you learn how to glue sand and gravel, you can use this technique all over your railroad for many things, including track ballast, terrain, and even mountains covered by different sizes of real rocks, gravel, sand, and live plants. Its realistic appearance is why the most asked question at Choya Patch Railroad is, how do you make your ballast? Well, here's the answer. Gluing advantages. Tired of cleaning leaves and debris off tracks, pulling weeds, repairing animal and erosion damage to track, ballast, and landscaping? If so, you should strongly consider gluing your sand and gravel. It always looks great and saves countless hours of maintenance. Glued ballast stays put, so you can use brushes, brooms, leaf blowers, and vacuums. I think all material smaller than 1/2 inch should be glued, especially if it is near tracks. Debris removal is easiest on small-size ballast. Gluing makes possible more durable and realistic landscaping too.
Are you getting tired of cleaning your track all the time? Of debris, leaves, sticks? It can be a real hassle. You can't use a leaf blower because it'll blow your gravel everywhere. If you had sand, it would be an utter disaster. So Phil is put some in between the tracks. Phil. Yeah, there you go. And that track ahead of you. Keep dumping it on there. All right, to there, get that switch, go down the main line. Put some more on there, quick. Quick, we don't have time to waste. Okay. All right. Now, I'm gonna go get the leaf blower, and you're gonna see what a 135-mile-an-hour wind does. These can go up to 180 miles an hour. Done. You would have destroyed your railroad if those hadn't been glued.
Now let's try the shop vacuum.
This shop vac, you can suck it on this end and blow on this end. So you can almost use this as a blower or a vacuum. Here we go. All these little spots that are hard to get. As you can see, even my landscaping is glued. The whole railroad is glued. So you can blow and vacuum everything except under the plants where there's just gravel, no glue, for watering.
Sand and gravel. Sources. G-scale hobbyists use all sorts of materials for ballast, but traditionally purchase screened 3/8-inch landscaping pea gravel. Unfortunately, at 1 to 24 scale pea gravel equals 9 real inches, about the size of a basketball. It looks far too large to be realistic. I wanted smaller ballast, so I bought 3/16 of an inch black aquarium gravel. I later learned it was just soft pumice stone painted black with cheap waterproof paint. I needed something better. Why couldn't I use the same free hard stone real railroads use and paint it myself? They use plentiful local gravel from quarries and stream beds, so can you. It's free, nearby, and easy to obtain and screen. The average price of small G-scale ballast from 3 suppliers cost about $6.46 per pound, or $436 per bucket. Amazing! We'd be broke if we had purchased all the material I used. Local crete material consists of mixed sizes of angular gneiss and granite. Accessible dry creek beds loaded with material are everywhere in the Southwest. Locally sourced off-white glued ballast looks fantastic unpainted or painted. 14 years ago, I glued the aquarium gravel ballast. Then, 2 years ago, I added a top layer of smaller, more realistic home-screened 3/32 of an inch coarse natural sand and painted it black. Screening procedure. Purchase a set of stackable screens that fit a standard 5-gallon bucket. I chose this set from Amazon. A SR Outdoor Gold Panning Classifier screen set, soil sifter, coarse combo, 1/2, 1/4, 1/8 inch mesh, plus a 1/16 inch kitchen strainer. Find a nearby dry creek bed that crosses a dip in a road so you can park as closely as possible. Satellite photos show them well. Load vehicle with empty buckets, screens, shovel, scraper, cushion, and gloves. Carry equipment to site and scout bed for best sandbars. It's just after dawn when it's nice and cool and there's no traffic. Phil and I, along with our friend and videographer Dave Stone, arrive at the dry creek where it crosses the road. We have our equipment for gathering the gravel and sand mixture. We park on the shoulder and have a short walk to the sandbar behind this tree. We found this good-sized sandbar with a small-sized gravel layer on top. Now we'll begin our crete mixture harvest.
Good morning. I'm John Carmichael. This is Phil Pappas. And we're down here at the creek bed in Tucson, Arizona, near our home, to harvest gravel and sand. You can find almost any type of stony material down here, from all the way up to larger rocks. And so we picked it because it's close by the house and we save lots of money by doing it. Now the first step is, once you've identified the berm, we like this, the sandbar. We like this look here. It's got a lot of larger gravel underneath. It's got smaller sizes. And so we're not interested in rocks or gravel larger than 1/2 inch. So the first step is, anything that's big, just throw it out. Real big, just throw it out. Okay? Any twigs, branches, javelina, doo-doo. So, and now what we're gonna do is I scrape. I use this old scraper I have, and I scrape it into a pile. Try to avoid big stuff. And you get a big pile. Not yet, Phil.
No, I know.
And okay. And we used to do a scoop to do this, but we found out that it's a lot easier to do with a shovel. There you go. Where's a good place?
Right there.
Right there? Okay.
And what we do is we filter out the big rocks right down here at the bed.
These are of no use to us. They would be for another project. For this, we're gonna dump them. You shake the whole bucket. Don't do this. Sometimes moving it around with your hand helps, especially on the smaller sizes. And one more here.
Over here.
Get rid of the big stuff. Great. And shovel.
Yeah, this is good after this. 2/3 of a bucket.
Is that enough for you?
Yeah, that looks good.
We never fill buckets more than 2/3, just because you might break a handle or your back. So here we're done.
Okay, thanks.
First, fit the 1/2 inch screen on the bucket. Shovel material onto the screen and shake the bucket with screen. Discard large gravel in screen. Repeat until buckets are 2/3 full. Take buckets home for further screening and comfort. Using mixed particle sizes, 2 screens are usually needed for a desired grade. If you want several grades from one bucket, stacking 3 screens speeds up the process. Screen out the largest size first, then progressively use smaller screens. Put each grade in a temporary container. Discard remaining dirt and dust. It takes about 1/2 hour to screen one bucket. Store each grade in labeled 2-quart bottles. Note that glue won't penetrate very fine sand, clay, or dust, even when wet, and won't work on large gravel or rocks. Remove these sizes by screening before gluing. Screens and particle sizes. This table describes 5 grades of sand and gravel and 1 grade of fine clay dirt powder obtained by screening. It shows the screen sizes needed to make each grade, its particle size range, and average particle size of each grade. It also shows the percentage of a particular grade in the unscreened creek mixture from our source. This amount is variable depending on the source location. This will give you an idea of how many buckets you'll need for the grades you want. Material uses and comments. 3/4 inch large gravel. For foundations, G-scale cribbing filler, landscaping, under live plants, and real railroad ballast. It's too big to glue alone, but it can be glued if mixed with smaller grades. 3/8 inch medium P gravel. For foundations, landscaping, footpads, oversized railroad ballast, and roadbed for floating track. When unglued, it is subject to disturbance by animals, weeds, erosion, and leaf blowers, but it can be glued. 3/8 inch is the common ballast size in most garden railroads. 3/16 inch fine gravel for ballast and landscaping. This makes more realistic ballast, but must be glued. It's half the size of typical pea gravel. It works well as a base layer underneath smaller, coarse sand. 3 32" coarse sand for ballast and landscaping. My railroad uses this size for railroad ballast. It must be glued. It's easy to handle and penetrates well. Although still slightly oversized for 1:24 scale, it sure looks better than 3/8" pea gravel size. I recommend this size for your glued ballast. If you want fine sand, you can add a separately glued top coat later. 3/64" fine sand for ballast, track crossings, and open areas. This matches real ballast size perfectly at 1:24 scale, but is harder to screen and apply. Use as a thin top layer over pre-glued larger material. Glue does not penetrate deeply, so apply only on top of larger pre-glued gravel, like icing on a cake. It looks great around work buildings, track crossings, and roads as bare dirt. I haven't tried it as primary track ballast, but it's great as a top layer. 1/64" clay dirt for roads and open dirt areas like corrals, landfill, and plant berms. I usually discard it, but you can use it to achieve a real dirt look on miniature roads or open areas. Don't use the gluing method below, since clay turns to mud and cracks when dry. Instead, glue several tamped and glued layers separately with the largest grades on the bottom. Immediately after gluing the top fine sand layer, shake dirt powder evenly over the wet glue using a small fine sifter. Dry clay powder will stick to wet glue on sand. Dry for 24 hours, then brush, blow, or vacuum off excess. The right glue. I wanted small, realistic ballast, but new garden railroads can't use smaller sizes without rapid destruction. Indoor HO modelers glued tiny ballast with diluted white glue like Elmer's, so gluing was a possible solution. I found a waterproof equivalent that dries clear and cleans up with water like Elmer's. Long-term experiments showed diluted Titebond 3 Ultimate Waterproof Exterior Wood Glue is ideal for outdoor use. It lasts for years in harsh conditions. Glue dilution ratio and preparation. Mix 1 part Titebond 3 plus 2 parts water plus 1 drop of liquid dish soap in 16-ounce squeeze bottles. For large projects, buy the gallon size in several empty bottles. Mark each bottle with a black Sharpie line 1/3 up from the bottom. Fill to the line with glue, add water and soap, and shake vigorously for 1 minute before use. Prepare several bottles in advance. Clean spills immediately.
We use these. And so here's your 1/3 mark. And so what we're going to do here, so you can see it, rip that off. You want to switch positions here? Walk around over here. And you pour this to the line. You got to do it slowly so it doesn't overflow and make a big mess. You there yet? Right there, right? Is that right? Yeah. So now you put in 1 drop of Dawn as a surfactant. And now you fill it up to the top, almost to the top, so you can shake it a little bit. First I fill it to there so I can... So now you see that. Anyway, just make sure you don't cause a mess. If you do spill this stuff, clean it up quickly because it's very hard to clean off when it's dry. Okay, that got it started. Now we'll top it off. And remember, when you use it, shake frequently. And we usually make up about at least 4, sometimes 6. We have a big gluing job. You don't want to run out of glue right in the middle after you've soaked the ballast. You don't want to run out of glue. So you want to have extra of these lying around. And that's all there is to it.
Ballast application equipment. Read this and prepare your equipment before applying ballast. Click pause to read. Ballast application steps. 1. Secure track where you want it. It becomes unmovable after gluing ballast. 2. Glue the gravel beneath the ties first and let dry until hard for stable track support. 3. Get comfortable on the knee cushion. Gently pour ballast alongside, between, and under the rails. Use a chopstick to disperse particles in between ties. Tamp down with fingers or a small flat stick. Remove all ballast on ties. Avoid switches moving parts. 4. Pour ballast outside the rails to the desired width. Add or remove material if needed. 5. Tamp firmly with sanding block or flat board for even slopes until you like its look. Here's a tip. If ballast layer needs to be thicker than 1 inch, or if you want fine sand on top, apply separately glued layers. Start with coarsest grade at bottom and progress up to finer grades. Don't make any layer thicker than 1 inch. Ballast gluing steps. Click pause to read.
Beware. Soak your ballast before gluing, or pay the consequences.
Okay, you see that fine spray? Now we don't want to stay in one place too long or we get erosion. So you go back and forth. Now this is fairly coarse, so we shouldn't have any penetration problems here at all. But you really want it to be wet. Hold it off to the side for a little bit, let it soak in. Do it again. Okay, that's good. Okay, turn it off. And now you wait 5 minutes for that to soak down.
Painting ballast is optional. Local sand and gravel is off-white with a beige hue. It's nice, but I preferred a sharp contrast between black ballast and whitish landscaping, so I painted it. Here's how. After gluing, wait 2 weeks before painting. Using Rust-Oleum, my favorite waterproof paint, I mix 2 parts of satin black with 1 part mineral spirits. Apply with 1-inch and 2-inch cheap brushes. First, paint the ties and ballast between the rails. Paint protects ties from UV. Paint the lower sides of the rails so they look dirty like real ones. Then, starting at the top, paint the ballast's sloping sides. Keep rags and mineral spirits handy. Remove wet paint from the tops of the rails before it dries. Wait several days and repaint the ballast. Over the years, it will fade and might need recoating, only if you don't like the faded salt and pepper look. So try some screening and gluing yourself.
Welcome aboard, folks! We hope you've enjoyed your visit and that you've learned all about glued ballast and landscaping. But before you go, we have one last treat for you. We'll be traveling slowly down the tracks so that you can see ballast and crossings up close. So enjoy your tour of the Cholla Patch Garden Railroad. It's been a pleasure serving you today. Here we go!
I hope all this answers the most asked question at Cholla Patch Garden Railroad. How do you make your ballast? You might fall in love with glued ballast and landscape as we did. Good luck with your projects, and thank you for your interest. John Carmichael.